The U.S. National Security Advisor is holding talks with China's top diplomat Yang Jiechi as tensions with Taiwan soar. In Taipei, the defense minister, pushing for a multi-billion-dollar budget boost, says cross-strait tensions are at their highest in 40 years.
Days after record numbers of Chinese aircraft flew into Taiwan's air defense zone, a new arms spending package is in focus in Parliament. Taiwan's defense minister is pushing for a larger military budget of $8.6 billion over the next 5 years. He's told lawmakers that Beijing might launch a full-scale invasion as early as 2025.
他目前有这能力，都有的，但要看怎么一个结局。所以我们不做任何挑衅但是说把他激怒了，就跟我们人一样，你把我激怒了，我手上能力我也会发挥出来。
Allies of Taiwan have expressed concern at Beijing's open display of military might. But U.S. President Joe Biden says he has come to an agreement with China's Xi Jinping.
I've spoken with Xi about Taiwan. We agree we'll abide by the Taiwan agreement. That's where we are. And we made it clear that I don't think he should be doing anything other than abiding by the agreement.
It's believed Mr. Biden was referring to the One China policy, under which it officially recognizes Beijing rather than Taipei. The Taiwan Relations Act also allows Washington to maintain an unofficial relationship with the island. At the same time, a delegation of French senators has arrived in Taiwan, where they will hold talks with President Tsai Ing-wen. The visit comes despite strong protests from China, which has warned that the visit will damage relations with France. Beijing opposes Taipei having any official diplomatic exchanges.
At the same time, senior officials from the United States and China are holding talks in Switzerland. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Chinese diplomat Yang Jiechi are expected to discuss rebuilding those communication channels. Now, it's their first face-to-face meeting since talks in Alaska at the start of the year broke down over tensions on trade and human rights. For more, Simon Marks joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Simon, the Taiwan tensions, they're looming large over these talks.
Yeah, very much so. And news from Geneva in the last few minutes suggests that the talks may have ended. The delegation led by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has now left the venue. Whether that's it for the day or simply a break is a little bit unclear at the moment. But absolutely Taiwan overshadowing these conversations. And there's a bit of confusion here about what President Biden meant when he said yesterday that he's spoken to President Xi about Taiwan. There's been no White House readout offered to reporters of a fresh phone conversation between the two leaders. So it would appear that President Biden was referring to the conversation that he had back more than 2 weeks ago last month. But that, of course, was before the Chinese engaged in some of these air operations that have pierced Taiwan's defense zone. However, the president seemed certainly content that he had received a guarantee from President Xi that he and the Chinese were going to observe the One China policy. But there's no doubt that the State Department, having described those air activities over the weekend as provocative and destabilizing on the part of the Chinese, that definitely created the tapestry for the backdrop of this meeting that's been taking place in Zurich, rather.
And any chance, Simon, that all this might also lead to a summit between these two leaders, Joe Biden and Xi Jinping?
Well, that's the other big question. Is groundwork being laid for a meeting? And if it is, when will it take place? We know that in that phone conversation last month, President Biden certainly suggested that it would be a good idea for the two leaders to meet face-to-face, although the White House then denied reporting by multiple news organizations here that President Xi had not been particularly quick to embrace the idea. There was some suggestion that perhaps they might meet later this year at the G20 summit in Italy. The Chinese have now said that President Xi will be attending that event virtually and not in person. The UN General Assembly, of course, has come and gone. So will there be a face-to-face meeting during the remaining weeks of 2021? The American side clearly would like that to happen, it seems, but it's not entirely clear that the Chinese side is as enthusiastic about getting that date in the diary.
Simon, thank you for that. Simon Marks there in Washington, D.C.